I want to talk about advanced workflow functions now. So let's review some of these functions, right? One of the newest ones is role-based automation. So let's take a look at how that looks. All right, so I'm going into my client view, and I'm going to open an account here. If I click on info, you will see this section called account roles. Okay, so account roles is something that you can set up for your team. So notice that there's already some account roles here. I created these, okay? You can have these be named whatever you'd like. But in this section, this is where you'd say, well, my admin is this person, or maybe I don't have an admin per se. I need to have a preparer and a reviewer. This is my preparer, and the final reviewers are these two individuals, right? You can have two people on here or just one. So by having these roles, I can say, task on stage 3, have it go to the preparer, whoever that might be. It can be Catherine in my case, or it can be Regina. Each case might be different. So this is something that ideally will help out with distributing the tasks more evenly, and also maybe eliminating some tags that you might have created, like more dynamic tags. But even the tagging system is really great to use, even if you don't use account roles. So let me show you how to create these. You're going to go to, let's see, going to go to settings, team and plans, and then you're going to hit roles. When you click on roles, you can add more roles here and call them whatever you want here. Let's see. I couldn't think of anything better. Emailer. Maybe I have somebody in the team that, shoots out to emails, or they need to be doing something, but you can have an admin person that works on that account. You can have a preparer, a reviewer, right? If you don't want this because, whoops, emailer, I don't know what that is, I'm going to delete that. You can, and you can change the spelling or of whatever this is. This roles is for you to internally help you, especially for bigger teams, right? I think if you have 2 or more licenses, because there's a lot of solo firms out there with just one license, and this might not even apply to you, but if you do have 2 or more licenses, this might be ideal for
But
certain tasks.
but you could set it up even if you are a solo firm,
Oh yeah,
because if you know you're going to bring somebody on in the future, because then you don't have to revamp all of your workflows at that time. When I set up my workflows, this didn't exist. So I've now, after this tax, I'm not changing anything during tax season, but after this
right.
tax season, I'm going to now, some of my workflow stuff will change to use roles versus tags.
Perfect. And, that's a good example because some clients, like yourself, already have this set up and, already have all their clients in. One of the things that you could do uh, to update everybody on here is to import a 2-column, file. Column A is going to be the account name, and column B is going to be the role. Okay, so the role can be named according to your role. So one can be admin, that can be one column, the admin. Another column can be the preparer, and another column can be, something else. And you can have 2 or 3 columns and then add your team member's name in there and then import them. So everybody in your CRM is updated. Right now, we don't have a way to like mass change it, kind of like mass updating tags and things like that that we already have a feature on. Most likely in the future, we'll have that going on, but it's really easy to do with an import. Again, you only need your account name, and a nice way to do that is exporting this. So if you want to export, your accounts, you can click on this button here, and you will get exported a list of clients where you can delete everybody and then just import your roles. Again, you'll have column A, and column B can be admin. Column C can be prepare. Um, column XYZ can be whatever you'd like according to the roles. Just make sure that they're spelled exactly how you set up the roles, and that's how you can do it in bulk. So that might be a way you would want to update yours, Leonard, to kind of get rid of some of the tagging later on after tax season. Okay, so how does that work? Like, I already did this, right? I already created these roles. So how is this going to work? Well, if I take a look at, my pipelines, let's take a look at this pipeline. I have my first task here on stage 3, and it's called in prep, right? So I want to take a look at, this here. Well, first of all, before I open this task, I have assigned tasks to job assignee. Um, the job assignee is the person that you selected when you created the job. That person needs to take care of this from beginning to end. Um, and if that person doesn't need to take care of this, maybe they only need to take care of, I don't know, the invoicing, you would toggle this off, and you want to make sure that this task goes to the preparer, right? Whoever that might be. So let me go ahead and open a new tab. And I clicked on that link just so it could take me to the template section. I'm not really going to create one. So let's take a look at that specific. It's called 1040 Prepare. Here it is. And where it says assignee, right? I'm going to click on roles. And who needs to complete this? The admin, the preparer, the reviewer? Well, obviously, this is part of the preparing process. So whoever is a preparer needs to be the one to take care of this task. So again, it doesn't matter who it is. It might be a different person for each account, but the preparer is the one that needs to work on this. Again, this is helpful for big teams or even small teams, because to Leonard's point, he might grow his team, and he might have 2, 3 more team members by the end of the year. Who knows, right? And this is going to be ideal to not remember everybody who needs to be assigned. They're predetermined per account. So he needs to determine when he opens a new account, who's going to be the preparer, who's going to be the admin, or who's going to be the reviewer. So in this case, I'll do save and exit. And let's see, let me go back to the pipeline. So we know that this needs to be for the preparer. I'm going to toggle this off because the job assignee is not the one to do this. It's the preparer. And I'm just going to hit save, and I'll hit save again. That's how you would manage roles, right? And again, it can be anybody in the team that has that role, because, different clients probably will belong to different team members, or you have different team members that really hyper focus on certain roles, like the examples that we just created. So looking at this, is this something that is kind of rubbing you the right way, Leonard? Is this something that's going to help you out to?
Oh yeah, it'll get rid of quite a few tags and quite a bit more in the stage condition, not stage, but the automations. Because right now I have to, if it's got this tag, you have to assign this person. If it's got this tag, you have to assign this person. If it's got this tag, you have to assign this. It'll get rid of all that.
Right. Right. Exactly. And let me show you what that what Leonard's talking about. In my manager review, I have something similar here. Okay, right? So I'm saying here, once it hits a stage, if the account has the tag Regina, she will get this task. But if the tag says Arissa, then Arissa will get this. But Arissa no longer works with me anymore. So that's when it becomes an issue,
Yeah.
right? And this is where I have to say, well, I need to update that, and I'm going to have to update that on the pipeline. But if I had the roles, I'd only need to go to the account and change the role, and I don't need to really worry about having these multiple
Mhm.
um, tasks that are essentially the same thing. They just go to different individuals, right?
Yeah, because it's much easier to change that on the individual clients than it is to go through, because they, you might have a whole bunch of tasks created for Arissa. If she leaves, then you got to figure out, well, which tasks are assigned to her already, and then go in and find all of them to change. Where if it's just set up for change on the client, when that is populated, boom, it just goes to the right person.
Right, exactly. All right, well, I'm going to click save on here. And I want to address really quickly, that extension question that we had earlier, because notice that we have these extensions on here. Um, you could have stages that say needs extension, right? For example, in this case, we'll move it just for demo here. This client needs an extension, right? But they might be sitting in the in prep section already. They might be sitting here, and you already know that they need an extension, or you already know that they're missing some stuff, right? So what you can do is utilize these statuses. So there's already an extension like pre-made template in here, but you can utilize as whatever you'd like. So if I click on extension and then hit save and exit, it'll turn this into a different tone, like a kind of like a orangey color, right? Which is different from the rest of the jobs that you have. And it'll give you the title of whatever you named this, right? So this can potentially help you get rid of some of these stages, right? I mean, you might not need these stages because you can use this job status. You can say something like, well, if I do have maybe a missing info, um, status, I want something to automatically be issued. Maybe I want a task to be issued to somebody in the team, right? You can create it on the fly now, and it's going to be part of this. Not, it doesn't trigger anything down here that is already active. So think of this as a smaller pipeline on top of a pipeline, kind of, right? So when, let's say I have a task here that says, client request, right? Once you send this client request, because maybe we're missing a document, right? And we want them to upload their document, whatever it might be. We'll send it here. And once this client actually submits that missing document, this will turn into an active status again. And then we'll go toward the normal steps that we need to go to, right? So think about this for, future use. You can not only create these on the fly, but let me exit and then click on edit. If you go to job statuses here, you can create automations that are automatically triggered. So if I want to automatically create a task here for my team that says, hey, send a client request, and assign it to whoever is the job assignee, If not, if the client request has a role-based automation, then you don't have to toggle this on. I'll hit save, and now we have that template in which, let's see, let's turn this into active now, and I'll link this. Now, I am missing information. I know that now. And a task is going to be created, and here is going, it's going to be automatically issued, right? So when this task is completed,
Mhm.
here we go, and I hit save, then this will turn back into an active status. It's kind of like a side task on top of the job, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So this might be, nice to utilize in certain scenarios. Have you used the job statuses or kind of like browse around them ever?
I've started to use them. They're not in my pipeline yet, as when I created the pipelines, and I wasn't about to start changing things again just before the busy time. But it'll get, again, it's going to get rid of a couple stages of my pipeline once this, once I'm through tax season. I will then create, or I'm going to revamp. I've got notes on what I want to revamp, and this will be part of it, because then I don't have to move it to a missing documents
That's
stage.
right.
It
Hmm.
can just sit in still waiting, and then I don't have to worry about, oh, why is this one still here? Oh, it's missing documents. Because right now I have to move it to a separate. If I'm in prep and I'm missing something, I move it to, oh, missing documents, and then it's in post prep, and then those kinds of things, where I don't have to then do that. I can have fewer stages throughout the whole process.
Right, exactly. In this case, we have this nice status. Everybody in the team can
Yeah,
see this is what's going on.
yeah,
Remember, aside from this whole status, you can always leave description notes, right?
yeah,
Um, these description notes, if you activated this view, you can see these notes right in here as well,
hmm,
right? If you don't see them, again, you can click on Edit, Settings, and these are the descriptions on here that you want to like play around with. If
yeah,
I go back to the pipeline, I can see, oh, they need this document, right?
yeah,
Now I know what's going on. So I'll open it up and see that there's a task that needs to be completed. And somebody in the team needs to send that request, right?
yeah.
Because there's something that's missing, a very, very specific thing that's missing. And remember, adding these things here will automatically link them to this job. You don't need to do anything else like add to link to job.
I know
Linking to
that's where
job is for you already in here.
I do. If you click on the new there, that's where I'll add a client request, or I will add an invoice when it's done, or if I want to link another job to it, or another task that needs to be done that came across that way. It just saves time.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. You put it all in one place. And the best thing about this, like let's say that you're done with the whole job. Really what happens here is that you have a whole history of everything that you did for your client. And you can store it for months, years even, and you can come back and generate reports upon some of these jobs. And it's really nice to see what you did with your client, right? And what they signed, what they didn't sign, what they completed. So essentially, really, TaxDome pipelines will never, ever, ever allow for any of your clients to fall through the cracks because you'll see what's happening with them at every moment, right?
Yeah,
All right, perfect. So this is something that I highly suggest everybody kind of focus on creating these um, statuses, right?
mm-hmm.
You can create new statuses here and manipulate those actions under the settings section that I saw earlier. Don't have to stick with these, okay? You don't have to stick with these because they're only templates. I always tell my clients, please make up as many, Status is as you'd like, because I'm sure that each firm has their own verbiage that they use internally about, what's going on with each account, right? It can be a unique situation for every client. All right, so I'm going to pause here and I'm going to